I'm Creek Freak and welcome back to my channel. Hello and welcome back. I know it's been a long time since I've done one of these, but now I'm in a good place where I can get started and do what needs to be done. As you seen just a minute ago, I was doing a bunch of stickman to quickly draw out a bunch of different poses that I think fit Cherry's brash and kinda overconfident personality very well. Ultimately, I went this one because it shows off the details in her dress and you can really see at first glance what kind of character she is. The problem I was having though was it looked very flat and stiff, so I used the lasso tool and selected things like her skirt, torso, and head and kind of tilted them and made small adjustments until I was satisfied. And those arrows are there just to remind me what goes back and what goes forward. Now, when designing her weapon, I was keeping the theme of cakes in mind, so I tried a few different ideas, but ultimately went with the cupcake hammer with the fork handle and the macaroon holding it together. Is it macaroon? Macaroon? Oh, whatever. Now I'm on my finalizing and sketching phase, where I can clean up things and add more details to things, such as the hair and sprinkles, and kind of clean up the hammer so it's more or less finished for line art. Honestly, the biggest pain of doing a design is the hair, believe it or not. Even though I love drawing hair, I still have trouble drawing curls sometimes, so that's probably something I need to work on. Especially these kind of like cartoony anime curls. I don't know what to call them. Especially her bangs. Like the fluffy bangs, they're cute as hell, but damn, they were difficult and easy at the same time. I don't know. Honestly though, the biggest issue I was having with her hair were the pigtails. I just couldn't get the flow of it right. Like, I could do the ends fairly well, but like trying to get the idea of like how the top goes into the bottom while it looks like it's flowing correctly was actually pretty difficult, but I think I did pretty good. And while I was drawing, I was coming up with more lore for this little game concept I have. Sweetland is a vast land with several kingdoms and nations, all connected by the roots of the grand and magical sweet gum tree. The sweet gum tree is sacred to all in the land, blessing those near and far with miracles small and large. In return, the people of the land thank the sweet gum tree with lively parties and sweeter sweets throughout the year. So far, there are 7 grand kingdoms of this land, but the 3 most powerful ones are the Sugar Kingdom, the Pastry Kingdom, and the Candy Kingdom. But for now, let's focus on the Pastry Kingdom since that's Cherry's kingdom. The Pastry Kingdom, that I will think of a clever name for later, is known for its united pastries, such as Pyston, Poptopoulos, and many more. But at the candy heart of the Candy Kingdom is a brash 12-year-old and a half little girl that's more than ready to prove herself to be the Cupcake Queen, even if she's only a princess, and even if that only gets into more trouble than it does good. When she gets word that something funny is going on in the kingdom, she ignores her parents' rules and sneaks out of the castle to head on into the dark licorice forest to defeat the evil all by herself and prove herself to all that she is the Cupcake Queen. That's the rough idea anyway. The idea is she gets pushed into these situations and is forced to ask or accept help, listens to others' ideas and opinions, and taking charge as she grows into her role as a leader. There's a lot to think about story and lore-wise, such as who are the enemies, who's good, who's bad, who to trust, who not to trust, all that jazz. Not to even mention the enemies, what the enemies look like, or what missions need to be done, who's a side character, who's not, and so much more. But we'll get into that later. Let's get back to like the art. You're probably wondering why I'm working in black and white right now, especially when I normally use color to sketch and do everything. Personally for me, I find it easier to get maybe like a round brush or a square brush and make big simple shapes so you can get an idea of the layout and everything really fast and really easily. And the reason I have it on black and white on a low opacity is so I can kind of layer the paint, so to say, kind of get those darker colors to get those shapes to kind of get more of an idea and slowly get more and more detailed as I go until I go back and refine everything like you see here. I was really trying to draw a grayscale drawing with which I have done a few times in the past. But here, it just didn't look right to me. It looked too dark and too light at the same time. And I also wasn't really satisfied with how the castle and kingdom itself looked. And so I took the bones of what I liked, drew over it, and then added more details and it made it look a little more cartoony, so to speak. More cartoony and fun and friendly and yada yada yada. And I ended up liking that a whole lot more. So once I was done adding all the little details, making sure everything was in the right place, I started doing my quote-unquote final sketch, which is what you see here. It's the same thing as I said earlier. Just clean up, add details, and make it look pretty. I was still struggling a bit, though, because I kept going back between whether I should have mountains in the background or like more of a city landscape. But ultimately, I decided just to go with the mountains, kind of make them look like giant cakey mountains. I'm not really sure how to explain it. Oh, this is just me playing with a brush I made while I was drawing to help me do a certain detail. And then I couldn't decide between if I want some like Swiss rolls or strawberries or maybe even gumdrops, but ultimately I went with the strawberries. I put some icing on them. I just kind of took the icing I drew earlier and kind of traced it a little bit, cleaned up the details, made it less fuzzy. Then I did seeds and did details on the door. And then I did the mock-up shading just to kind of give me an idea of where the lighting was and how I was trying to draw the attention to the middle because that's where Cherry's going to stand. And then time to do mock-up colors. I hated the colors they picked. I was trying to make everything look more natural with the green and stuff, but I didn't like it. So I did this just to get everything colored. Then I kind of picked and chose the colors as I went. And then I tried to just kind of be a little bit lazy and use the purple as line art, but I didn't really like that. So I tried doing grayscale just to see my values, what's what. And I kept trying and trying, trusting the process, and I hated it. I did not like how this was looking. I kept trying and pushing myself forward, but I decided, you know what? No. Try something new this time. Instead of having any line art at all, I would go for the lineless line art look, which was a little bit challenging, but it was a fun little experiment that I have never done for anything, especially for my backgrounds. And I actually ended up liking it a whole lot more. It took a lot of layers to do everything. Like, I had so many layers that it nearly took up my whole layer capacity by the time I was done, which in Procreate, depending on your canvas size, you only have so many layers. And this canvas size is 1728 by 2160. That's in pixel width, by the way. It gives you about 175 layers to work with, which is really good. It's what I use for like all my work so far, especially if I'm posting somewhere that like only has limited amount of space, like on Instagram and stuff. So it's really good for that. But for things like personal art and studies and studying artworks, I typically use the screen size canvas, which for me is 2732 by 20,048. In other words, 2048 for that last one, all in pixel width. If you go with that, that's going to give you a good bit of layers, but also it gives you a lot of details to work with because you have so much space to work in that canvas size. So yeah, it's really fun to just kind of study and take your time with that. And finally, it was time to start shading. Yippee! As you see, I was trying to do the pathway first, just to go ahead and get it down, because it's like one of the main pieces you see, because it's right there up front and center. At the time when I was shading this, I was thinking of making it look like rock candy, but I'm not really sure how I like that now. If I could go back and change it, I would, but also I am completely done with this background, so you know what, it's fine. The clouds were a bit more difficult. I was trying to make them look kind of more 3D-ish, but ultimately, I think I did pretty good. Not half bad. Then honestly, the cake pop trees, the pink cake pop trees, Honestly, I love doing that. That was my favorite bit. I'm so proud of how I managed to make the icing on top look like it was higher than the one below it by adding all the shadows and stuff like on the edges, adding the highlights in just the right spot. It was really fun. It was really fun to think about the sprinkles as the fruit on the cake pop trees. Amazing. And then I started doing the cake castle itself. Working my way from bottom to top, doing the red velvet, then the chocolate, then the pink, then like the crown and the towers. It was fun. There's not really much I can say. All I did was pretty much shade the sidings and made the highlights more or less in the middle, because again, I try and keep the middle as the main highlight. And yeah, there's a lot of shading going on, like near the top. I was zoomed in, so I couldn't really see the details that much. Tip for tat, don't zoom in as much as I did. And wait, why did it stop? Hang on. Let me just check. Okay, let's just check here since this was my last one. No! And I hate everything so much. That is really painful to see. Oh my god. Okay, so some of y'all understand, Procreate has this automatic record your canvas thing that you can turn on or off. And apparently sometime when I was in the middle of drawing, I apparently looked and accidentally turned it off and I didn't realize it. And so y'all completely missed me finishing the background and shading everything, not to mention coloring and shading Cherry or her hammer. So all that's completely lost. That was a bunch of waste of time. So for the sake of like giving y'all a little something more than like me struggling with the background for about 10 minutes, here's her little pets / sidekicks that kind of following along her journey. You got Poppy, the popcorn puppy, and Marmaduke, the cotton candy kitten. Yay! Oh my god. Before like some of you like go back and like say, hey Creep, you had some other drawings that had the same background. Why don't you check those videos? I did. And they were all off except for the one like that had the little bit of shading to it. It got turned off sometime during that process. How I do it is I select and duplicate my canvas as I get so far along the thing. So I kind of like saved my process in case any of the files get lost or corrupted in Procreate. Also, hot tip, make sure your canvases are saved to files, any files you have. But yeah, anyway, enough about that. Oh boy, yeah, that sucks. These are more or less the rough designs for them, since I didn't really have the time to go through and explore all the different designs I could make for them. But these are good enough for now. For Marmaduke, I based him on a Siberian cat, since the fur kind of reminds me of cotton candy with how fluffy it is. And that's also what I imagine a cotton candy cat to look like, especially if they were royal pets. In the process, I really wanted to show the personalities at first glance. And I always thought of Marmaduke being kind of smug and arrogant, maybe a bit of a snob at times, but he's really just a scaredy cat and a worrywart that likes to put up an act. Meanwhile, I based Poppy more off of a poodle puppy, since I thought that would fit the kind of popcorn theme very well with how the fur texture is and how I can kind of like shape the fur in some ways. Especially with the teddy bear cut or the Miami, also known as the clown cut for poodles. I think it suits Poppy very well with her energetic and playful personality. And yeah, I don't really have much else to talk about Poppy and Marmaduke for right now, since the characters are still in development and what role they play into the story. I think they kind of help push Cherry along with certain things, kind of like cheer her on and kind of like make her stop and think for a minute. I mean, they speak animal, but it's like you as the person playing the game would be able to read what they're saying sometimes. I think that would be fun. But yeah, that's it. Whew, my commissions are almost ready to be open. This was one of the last things I needed to do. This is my full body, fully rendered, full background example piece that I want to really go all out on almost. And I think I did really, really good. I'm really happy with how this turned out, despite all the heartache and blood and sweat and tears that went into this. And how frustrating it was to lose all that. But you know what? I'll take it with a grain of salt and move on. That's all I can do, and hopefully the next project will be as fun. I really hope y'all learned something from watching the speed paint and have fun watching this video, since this is the start of my new Let's Draw series. Yay! This is something I have been wanting to do for a while now, and now I'm finally in a spot where I'm able to do what I want to do for my videos. How this is going to work for the series is you guys give me something sweet. It can be candies, cakes, ice cream, and so on. And I'll make a character out of it. Like, for example, you say Jolly Rancher in the comments down below, and I'll take your comment, turn it into a cool character, and make a video about it, and post the picture on my Instagram. Yay! To stay updated on this and many other projects, follow me on Instagram. I'm more active on there than I am anywhere else. Links down in the description below. And I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of my content on content like this. Hope you have fun and that you have a wonderful day. Okay, bye-bye now. See ya!